Morning, friends. Headed to work. Gonna give you a quick car talk this morning. So, if your kids are ever in my car, if they need a ride, I'm gonna pick them up, and they're gonna get a bonus Mrs. Klein car talk. So, when I got kids in my car, I got them trapped for a little bit. So I gotta give them all of my years of wisdom, and I talked to them about cigarettes. I talked to them about purity, and I talked to them about drugs, and I tell them the truth, guys. I tell them the truth. They're getting a lot of lies from many sources, but when they're in my car, they're gonna get the truth. So if you have my kid in your car and you want to do a little talk with them, feel free. Today I'm going to talk about something to you that has got me really fired up. It's got me really upset, honestly. As a healthcare provider, the more that I research this, the more upset I become. So we're going to talk about marijuana today. Marijuana was illegal for a long time. Because it was illegal, we really do not have a ton of quality research studies on it. Kind of hard to get research subjects to volunteer to do a study on a substance that is illegal, okay? If it's illegal and they're using it, they're going to jail. Okay, so we don't have a ton of good research on this, but what I see and what we have, it's not good. And it concerns me that our kids are being led to believe differently. So take a look at this. Okay, so before we talk about marijuana, let's talk about predatory advertising. Look at this advertisement. This looks ridiculous to us now, but this was an advertisement that was in magazines and posted around back in the 50s. Cigarettes were advertised as being good for people. Look at this. This is a mother smoking a cigarette. Horrible. This is predatory advertising. This is making women believe that it is helpful and healthy to smoke cigarettes during pregnancy. Look at this one, just as bad. Born Gentle. Smoking cigarettes while you're holding your baby. Look at this one, scientific evidence that this brand of cigarettes is not bad for you. This is predatory advertising. This is making people believe something that is not true to buy your product. They even use nurses and doctors to make people believe cigarettes were healthy for them. Think of how many millions of people got hooked on cigarettes and all of the health problems that cigarettes have caused. But they believe they were healthy. Advertisers do not advertise the truth. They do not advertise the health risk of cigarettes. Okay, so now marijuana. So what's the big deal? This stuff is legal, right? I thought this was safe. Okay, so we don't have a ton of long-term research studies on marijuana, but look at this. The marijuana in the 70s is very different than the marijuana that we have now. The potency of a joint in 1970 was 3%. And so the amount of THC absorbed was 5.8 milligrams. The amount of marijuana in a joint today, the potency is now 20%, so much more potent than 3% versus 20%. That's a big difference. The amount of THC absorbed is 38.4 milligrams. Now, if you want to really give your brain a crazy high dosage of marijuana, there are now dabs Dabs are like a concentrated form that is vaped or inhaled. Dabs are like this sticky, gel-like substance of this extracted marijuana. And look at this. In a dab, the potency of marijuana is 70%. The amount of THC absorbed is 235 milligrams. So in 1970s, from a joint, they would get around 5.8 milligrams of THC. Now people are using dabs, which in one dose, they get 235 milligrams of THC absorbed. That is a big difference. Okay, so marijuana has been legal in Colorado for longer than it has here in Illinois. And this is an emergency room study done at the University of Colorado. And they looked from 2012 to 2016 at the number of emergency room visits that were due to marijuana. And so look at the top is inhaled marijuana. So in 2012, in this ER, in that year, there were about 200 visits associated with marijuana. In 2016, there were 800 visits due to marijuana. So in the ER, they frequently see something called cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. So people that use marijuana regularly can develop changes in their digestive tract, and they get severe vomiting. They come in writhing in abdominal pain, and it is due to marijuana. We also see this in pregnant women. Pregnant women that use marijuana many times have severe hyperemesis of pregnancy. Okay, so this slide was adults at this ER. Now let's take a look at a slide that makes me really sad. Okay, same hospital. This is kids that were had emergency room visits due to marijuana. So this is looking at 2005 to 2015, and the black is the number of annual visits due to marijuana. So in adolescents and young adults aged 13 through 20, in 2005, number of visits about 150. In 2015, number of visits about 775. How are these kids getting marijuana? Well, we know how this works. So you just have to be 18 to go into a store to buy marijuana here in our town. And so the 18-year-olds are friends with the 17-year-olds, are friends with the 16-year-olds, or some kids, maybe their parents are using it and they're getting it from their parents. The scary thing with kids is if they try marijuana, they are more likely to become addicted to it than adults. This was an article in the Journal of the American Academy of Pediatrics, and it said more adolescents aged 12 through 17 who use marijuana developed a substance use disorder than those who tried either cigarettes or alcohol. So marijuana is more addictive than cigarettes and alcohol. THC, the chemical substance in marijuana that acts on the brain, is known to cause mood changes, depression, increase the risk for suicidal thoughts, cause memory issues, and even cause disrupted learning. The brains of adolescents and teenagers are particularly vulnerable because their brains are still developing, and marijuana use increases the risk of psychiatric disorders for them. Marijuana can trigger or worsen psychotic symptoms like hallucinations, paranoia, and psychosis. Research is suggesting that marijuana use is associated with an increased risk of developing schizophrenia. Pesticide levels in marijuana pose a unique risk, because when they are smoked or vaped, those pesticide chemicals go directly to the lungs, the bloodstream, and the brain. A recent study done in California looked at 42 legal cannabis products, and they tested them for pesticide concentrations. And of the 42 products they tested, 25 showed pesticide concentrations above allowed levels. And the cannabis products had chemicals that were linked to cancer, liver failure, thyroid disease, and neurologic problems. Some legal marijuana products had over 20 different pesticides at levels that exceed the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency threshold for human health risk from one single exposure. So an example, chlorpheneper, an insecticide not permitted on any food products, was discovered at 2,000 times the base limit on some of the products, the legal cannabis products that were tested in this study. Pymetrozine, an insecticide that's prohibited in Europe, Canada, and Norway due to it causing reproductive damage and cancer, was found at levels 762 times the base limit. Marijuana is an endocrine disruptor. Marijuana has been shown in several studies to decrease male fertility. Marijuana contains over 500 chemicals. No level of marijuana is safe during pregnancy. A fetal brain is extremely vulnerable to the negative effects of marijuana. As more than half of pregnancies are unplanned, this is a huge problem. Many research studies that we have were done years ago when the potency of marijuana was much lower. Marijuana crosses through the placenta. So what a mother is using her baby is being exposed to. What is this high potency marijuana doing to these little fetal brains and to their reproductive systems? Research is ongoing, but I have a feeling it's not going to be good. Marijuana addiction should be seen as an illness. People with this illness need help. Many of these people have been victims to predatory advertising. We need more resources to help people with addiction illnesses. We need to teach about predatory advertising before others become victims of this addiction illness. If you or someone you love is struggling with this, here are a few local places in town that can help. You are not alone, and there is help. And let me know if any of your kids need a ride.